Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Awaken. This is the opportunity for you to just be in this very sacred space. The Awakened Mother Show dives deep into the realms of spiritual awakening, human potential, and mystical motherhood. It is my intention to present intimate, boundary-pushing conversations with visionaries, spiritual teachers, wellness experts, and thought leaders who aren't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom. And so today, I'm really excited and thrilled to share with you somebody who will open your heart and really uplift you in our conversation as a mom, as a visionary, somebody who's really committed to bringing forth education, information, and inspiration. And Tracy Slepcevic is a certified integrative health practitioner, speaker, and Air Force veteran. She's the best-selling author of this book, which is Warrior Mom, and the founder of Autism Health, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, as well as the Autism Health Summit. She's educated in this area for over 16 years, researching various treatments and therapies for individuals with Autism Spectrum Disorder. And you're going to hear her story and how she came to be involved in this area, and you'll hear about her wonderful husband and her children. So just welcome Tracy to the stage. Hello.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's so good to have you here with us. Thank you for being here in this space. And this book, oh yeah, you can see that there's several things that it's very beautifully written. And I really like how you break down, you talk about your story, and then you talk about, I'm pointing over here, like options, things that people can do. And so one of the things that I want to point out that I love, because he also said this when I had interviewed Andy Wakefield, who is just such an extraordinary human and doctor and has been so maligned and misunderstood and vilified in a way that is really cruel, because what he talked about was true. But I'm not going to get into that in this moment. But what he said is, so if there's one message that I would leave you with, it is for you mothers to trust in that innate knowledge of your child, a gift that has preserved and nurtured mankind throughout evolutionary history. Our presence here on this earth is not down to vaccines, antibiotics, or men in white coats, but to the power of that small voice, the mantra of timeless wisdom. Listen to it, trust it. Dr. Andrew Wakefield.
That was actually scripted for his movie, Protocol 7. So the professor, when he's up there on stage and he's speaking, those were his last words. And I had the honor and privilege of being, an extra in his movie. And I got to sit in the audience and listen to him say that. And I was like all full of tears. And I'm like, oh, he put that in my book.
Oh my God. Well, if you go to my Instagram and you go to highlights, I have him speaking about mother's intuition, because back in, I think it was 2020, I hosted an online summit, and it was called Healthy People 2020. And I interviewed him and Bobby and Dell and David Martin and Stephanie Seneff regarding keeping people genuinely healthy. So I love that you were an extra in that movie and that he put that in your book. It's so beautiful, and it really speaks to your journey with Noah. Will you share about your journey with Noah?
So my journey with my son is is very much God-led. I believe that it gave me a purpose. So it does not sadden me. It gives people hope, because this was my journey. This is what God gave me, and He gave me Noah for a very clear reason. One, to make me a fighter like no other. And now my purpose to fight for other families and parents and to educate them. So it began all when Noah was little, and he goes in for his 18-month well baby visit, and during that visit he's given those whats, and then unfortunately within 24 hours Noah got measles, and he became very sick. He did not die, obviously, but I didn't know what it was, but the doctor said it was an allergic reaction, and which was totally inaccurate, because based on the pictures, other doctors said it was, the measles virus. And anyway, I didn't know, but after that, I started to see a slow decline in my son. As he met all his milestones, if not, he met them early. He was climbing the walls. He was running all over. Even before he could crawl, he was rolling where he needed to go. And then he lost a lot of motor skills. He lost all his speech and baby signs. So I had done baby signs for him. And I just saw this severe decline. And then I asked my pediatrician again, what's wrong with my son? And she just told me it's all normal. By the way, for all of you who think that it's normal for your child to regress, I'm here to tell you it's not normal. So anyways, I went about and I trusted her opinion and everything. And from there, it took me 2.5 years to figure out what was wrong with my son. I had been through 2 preschools that said, I'm sorry, we can't care for your son. He has special needs. Regional center that lost our paperwork. They were supposed to forward it on to a clinical psychologist, and a pediatrician that, everything's normal. So it wasn't until, and I say God sends me angels, that I was ready to put my head through a wall. And I walked into the office, and my husband had hired this woman who had a son with autism. And she was able to tell me what to do, where to go, and how to do it. And so then I had Noah evaluated through the school district, and they did a lovely job. And from there, I got answers. And I took that report, went back to the regional center where Noah was formally diagnosed by a clinical psychologist. But before then, I had answers. When you're searching for something like that for so long, like what's wrong? And no matter what the disorder is, for a parent to just have answers as to what to do, then that gives them a direction and a path to go. Mm-hmm. So from there, I went back to the office to grab something. And in the hallway, I saw my naturopathic doctor, Dr. Joshua Burka, he's the medical director for Beamer. And I was part of the Beamer study 20 years ago. Wow. So he saw me in the hallway, and we were talking, and he looks at me and he says, Noah is going to be fine. I want you to go home and do your research. Kids are making great strides with biomedical intervention. He said, I'm not an expert in treating kids with autism, but we will find you a great doctor that will. So the next day he assisted me in calling. Back then they were DAN doctors, DAN certified to feed autism now. Now, a lot of times people go through MAPS, Medical Academy of Pediatric Special Needs, for their clinician directory, but really just finding a really good functional medicine doctor, maybe one that specializes in autism treatment. So anyway, from there, I just started reading books, going to conferences. I sucked the tears back up into my eyes. I got to work, and thus began my journey. And like I said, anytime I've ever needed assistance, God has always sent me angels to guide my path. And it's been the most perfect journey, and I'm grateful for that, because began to heal his gut. I started to implement some supplementation, some different types of treatments and therapies that are more on the alternative medicine side. And Noah just started to come alive. And I felt very blessed. So I wanted to share that information with parents. So when COVID came, I felt it was my duty. And I feel like God sent me another angel. I met this woman that was like, well, why don't you write that book? So I'm like, well, maybe I need to. So I did. And, it's been so magical that I've been able to help parents all around the world by simply writing a book and, speaking out and giving them hope, because my story is in there, and it's a story of hope and inspiration during trials and tribulations. And I'm telling you, when it rains, it pours. I bartered for treatments. I negotiated. I did whatever I had to do. But I set a clear intention, and I truly believe that where your mind goes, energy flows. So you have to remember that energy is everything. Everything's energy, even our thoughts and our words. So I'm very careful as to what I think and how I feel and how I project that, so that I'm aware of what comes back into my space. So at that moment, I believed with all my heart and soul and everything, right down to a cellular level, that Noah would live a normal functioning life. And today, he is 19 years old, almost 20, and he works, he drives, he's going to go to Japan for 3 weeks with his friends all on his own. I mean, he travels on his own already. But he does everything I ever wanted him to do. Now he doesn't abide to my dietary restrictions anymore, but we're getting there. He still goes to a trainer 3 days a week. And, that's a plus.
What a miracle. Miracle. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And it's really remarkable to me how situations that we could view as so tragic turn into be a triumph. Like what you happened, to experience with Noah became, not only did you, reclaim Noah and help him to reclaim his health, but you've been such a beacon of light to so many people through this experience, providing that education and inspiration and hope.
That's the most important thing. When somebody hears testimonial or, positive information, let's say from a doctor or, something that can actually change, their thoughts and how they feel about it. Because you can make yourself sick just by thinking something, right? There are doctors that have misdiagnosed cancer and told the patient they only have 3 months to live. And because it was set in their mind, they only had 3 months to live. They only lived 3 months, and then later to find out that there was no cancer. So, that's how powerful our minds are. And we need to remember that. And we need to remember to ask upon God for assistance, because it might not look the way we think it would, right? But still, we have guardian angels watching over us. God doesn't make mistakes, and we're all here to experience. We're here as spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. So you have to take into consideration, what do I get to learn from this experience? How can you're at choice? You're at choice as to how you react, how you move forward. Everything's a choice. So you can wallow in your own self-pity. You can feel sorry for yourself. Totally up to you. Or you can do what I did, suck the tears back up, get to work and ask for God's guidance, and beautiful things happen. And even though through the trials and the tribulations, and I've shed many tears and I've had many struggles, as you know, but through it all, there's a reward, regardless.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You're speaking my language. I absolutely believe that we speak into existence the words that we speak. So to be really mindful without being hyper vigilant and oh my God, I can't say that. To be really mindful of what it is we're seeking to experience through the words that we speak. And thoughts are things, and energy goes where attention go. So I really appreciate what you're saying. And it's so wonderful, the power of intention, your intention that Noah was going to live a healthy, full life. And there it is. And I love how Steve is so supportive and he just comes alongside, because in regular, marriages that aren't regular, I don't even know if there's any such thing, but in marriages where there isn't the pressure and the tension of having a child with special needs, it can be really tricky. Communication is essential, and being willing to look at your part and be responsible for yourself and all of that healthy actions that go into having a healthy, conscious marriage. When you have a child with special needs, it can add another layer of tension, because the human condition, unless you're really super conscious, is to want to find something and someone to blame. And there's a journey from let's lay down the blame and let's come together united. And what I've seen with you and Steve is that you are united.
We are. So first and foremost, Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer is my most favorite.
Yeah.
And it's Steve's favorite book too. But yes, you can lay down that foundation and truly believe that it'll go a certain way. But you can't sit back and just
Right.
and watch. You have to be proactive. You're going to go through your stuff. But like you said, I did not focus on the doom and gloom. I did not focus on blaming somebody, because 100 times over, I could have, gone after the pediatrician who actually, when I asked when Noah was 3 years old, is it possible my son could have autism? And she said, no, he just needs speech. And then when I found out a couple months later that he had autism, then she decides to put in his records twice, recommend an evaluation for autism. Yeah. Oh, don't get me started there. Or the preschool that lost my child and never called me to tell me when every known adult in the area was looking for him.
Wow.
I was not informed. And then when I went to go pick him up, I said, so how did Noah do today? Well, he wasn't, he was misbehaving. And then she walks off. So then I asked one of the guys that was, one of the workers there that was watching Noah, he was overseeing Noah. What Noah do today? What? They didn't call you? No, we lost him. What do you mean you lost him? And I'm like, so here I am. I pick him up, and then we had to get off to occupational therapy, and I take him to occupational therapy. I turn him over to the therapist. I sit down and I'm like,
right.
Oh my God. He was in a park adjacent to the schoolyard. So they went to the schoolyard playground. Noah went to the park, and he was playing off a hillside with some sticks. He could have been run over by a car. He could have been kidnapped. He could have fell down the hill. It was a pretty steep hillside. Anything could happen. So I'm here, like, I just start bawling. Yeah. And then the gentleman across from me, whose son was in therapy, he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And it was like a flood of emotions. Could I have gone after the preschool? Yep. Could have gone after the preschool. Could I have, gone after so many people that mistreated my son, the kids who abused my child, or bullied him in school, all these different things. I could have wasted a lot of valuable time. Instead, I focused on Noah's healing, and I left the rest up to God, because in my last chapter where I say let go and let God, those are really powerful words that you can't handle everything as a parent, especially when you have a child with special needs, that you have to turn over some of that responsibility, especially the anger, to God. Because if you allow anger to consume you, and it really can. I've had some horrible things happen, even as Noah's gotten older, but I turn it all over to God. I cannot be consumed by the anger.
Brilliant. So it's such an important choice. I have something called a God box, and I always encourage my clients to create a God box. You can decorate it however you like. And I invite them. I invite them to have their feelings, but not get stuck in their feelings. And then to whatever it is that they're worried about, concerned about, and I learned it from somebody else, so you can take a slip of paper and you write down on that piece of paper whatever it is, including your children, and then you put it in the box. And I also created like this, figurative shelf. And I always say, put it on the shelf, for right now. If you want to bring it down, you can bring it down, but, put it up there so that you're not carrying, because what you're saying is so true. You can get stuck. Yeah. Anger allows us to feel powerful and like we're in action. It's such a misconception, because your nervous system is all jacked up and you're operating from cortisol, and you're not allowing any kind of, your parasympathetic nerve is nowhere to be found, and so, to make that choice is what allowed you to be the leader in your family. And I really believe that moms are the heart of the home, the home, the hearth, the community, that we set the tone. So if we're all dysregulated, how can we imagine that our family members or our partners are not going to be in reaction to that?
Yeah.
So let go and let God. I love that. Absolutely.
I also do spirit writing. So it's a similar thing, right? And so I'll usually keep it on 2 pages. So when I open it, I can leave it open and let those words, release themselves into the universe. And so when I write those spirit writings, I'm really all about, I send a message to God and all my guardian angels.
I love it.
Spirit guides, and I give this to you. If it's a prayer for somebody,
right,
please take this person, embrace them in your arms, heal this person. It's a very powerful thing. And then at the end, I'm like, please take this this prayer, and I send it out into the universe, and I allow God to touch it, and to allow healing to happen within like a family or a person or an individual. But whatever it is, it doesn't have to look a certain way. But I leave it open. I usually put it in like a high place, where no one's going to mess with it. And I just let those words, like, I'll do it in the evening.
It's beautiful.
Put it out there, but it's the same thing. You can write a message, and I always recommend to just leave it out in the open before you shove it and put it away anywhere. Or put it on a shelf, like you said. That's perfect. Sticky notes are always fun.
I know, right? What I also, what you're saying is, I think about Native Americans, and I love prayer. So, I pray a lot, and as do you. And I love how, every breath is a prayer. So speaking your prayers out, it's like speaking them into the wind, and then, spirit just lifts them and takes them. And that, I believe God knows our heart. God knows our heart. And so that's why it's really curious to me when I meet people who are filled with anger or they judge other people after knowing you, like, what happened with COVID, how family members or friends and, this whole there's no side in God. There's no side. It's just like, for anyone who's listening, this is just my opinion. So you take what you like and you leave the rest. But I don't believe the earth is flat. I believe it's round. So we have this, the everywhere, like, we're interconnected. What a mother might feel all the way across in another continent, I will feel because we're connected, right? So we send blessings out and we let go. I release and I let go. Here's the prayer, right? Done. Okay.
But I always say it's a series, Conversations with God.
Yeah.
By Neil Donald Walsh. And then there's a children's book that came out of that, A Little Soul in the Sun.
I love that book.
And if you're angry or somebody's done something bad to you, to really understand and to learn forgiveness, that's a great start. You can even go to YouTube and type in The Little Soul and the Sun.
Yes.
It has the narration of the book, or you can order it for yourself. What a beautiful story it is for an adult, a child. I actually got it in one of my trainings, and impact trainings.
Yes.
And it changed my life. We actually read it at my father's funeral. And it, my mom, who struggled to forgive him, like afterwards was like, I felt a release, like my dad was able to move on because he always wanted my mom's forgiveness. And me and Steve looked at each other and we're like, did you feel that? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, he's gone. And he's like, yep. So Steve and I are so in tune with each other. It's, it's good that people would ask me, how do you know if that person is right for you? And I always tell them the same thing. If you know that you can get through life for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, because you'll go through it all, I promise. Yeah. And this is the person you want by your side, and they'll stand by your side. And through all this, you'll get through it together. Then that person's a match for you. But if you question any of it, don't move forward. I mean, that's just my advice. But life has not been easy for me and Steve. A little piece of that was in my book, but same year Noah was diagnosed with autism. Steve was on the front page of the LA Times in a smear campaign because he fights against big insurance and exposed them for fraud and collusion on the news. So we lost our home. I was bartering for treatments. I was negotiating. I did whatever I had to do. But I set a clear intention of what it was I choose to create. And I am a powerful being.
You are a powerful being.
Because we're little pieces of God. And if we can exercise that godness, right, then we can move mountains.
Yes.
Faith of a mustard seed.
Yes.
Move mountains. We have the capability. We all do. Whatever our superpower is, right? And some of us might have many. Some of us might just be able to tap into one, and some of us just might be stuck and need to shift, right? Yeah. And creating that shift is super, super important. I believe the foundation to a lot of spiritual stuff and connecting with intention, reading The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer was one of the most profound books I've ever experienced reading. But it does take a lot. And this is our journey. It's not supposed to be easy. We came down here to experience something, just like the little soul in the sun. He wanted to experience forgiveness. Yeah. And in that, somebody had to love him enough to come and experience that here on earth with him. Mm-hmm. So he had to be that that yin to his yang. He had to be that bad person so that that soul could experience forgiveness. It's such a powerful story.
It is.
And there's so much of that. So a lot of times, even the really, really bad stuff, I just give it to God, or I pray for them. And I've had bad things happen to me in my life, but all in all, I've counted my blessings. I live in gratitude, regardless. There's somebody out there way worse off than me, and that has been so powerful enough to get me through anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a powerful tool. It's a good tool for the toolbox. Is blessings.
Yeah, I love that. Gratitude, intention, prayer, contemplation, appreciation. What you appreciate appreciates. So when you're able to hold all of it, right? Spiritual being having a human life incarnation. So there's things that happen, just like, the little soul in the sun. You don't remember that built-in forgetter when you move into, when you are born, well, first of all, you're so close to the creator, which is why it's so precious, those moments, especially those first 40 days between mama and baby and dad, to, if there's a dad in the picture, to really bond. But we have such an opportunity. And when you have the awareness that you have and the intention that you have to look at everything as, what is this here to teach me? Instead, what is this here to punish me? And it's a very different perspective, which is why this book, this book that I like so much, is so invaluable for anyone. Andy speaks about in the very first, and we know this because we've heard this when it talks about as the predicted prevalence of 1 in 2 children in the next decade that will be diagnosed. It's been, it's very optimistic and very inspiring that RFK Jr. is Secretary of HHS, because there's so much that is being presented to the American public in a different way, with options for true health. So we hold him, we continue to hold him, and yay, Bobby, and hold that the citizens of the United States and of the world will make a choice to be educated and support you in the work that you are doing to help other families by bringing forth truth and your experience and options for health. How do you navigate it? And you've just so clearly outlined the ways in which you navigate this particular situation. And I also, what I heard in between the lines of what you're saying is, and you mention it in the book about you trusted the medical professionals, like you signed, I think it said in 2006 when Noah got the MMR, but you trusted. So your experience, if people are able to set their judgment aside and their opinion and just hear what you're saying, can make another choice.
I just asked for informed consent. Everyone should have a right. I was not given informed consent. I was given a piece of paper, sign off on this. This is what he's getting today. I was not told of any dangers of anything. If a parent would have come up to me and said that is very dangerous, your kid could regress, he could get sick, and he could die, all those different options, I would never have signed on that line. I would have never have approved those, and I would have done my own research. Granted, it was much easier to do back then. For a lot of people who don't know the research, I did write the link between the two on my Substack, and I put several published studies on there. And when I say several, there are several that show that there is a link. For those say there isn't. So if you go to the Substack, Autism Warrior Mom, you can find it and you could read it. And it gives you a lot of answers, right? And if you're looking for proof, I have no judgment. I just think that a parent, an individual, any individual should have informed consent. They should know what's going in their body. They should know that there's aborted fetal tissue that's alive when it's aborted and collected. And they should know that there's eggs in there. If you have an egg allergy, I mean, there's eggs in there. If you have, morally, if you're worried about neurotoxins, there's a bunch of that stuff in there too. They just keep shoving. It's just like a cocktail of God knows what. Changes every year. But you should know what's in it. That's it. That's all I say. And then you could choose for yourself, and choose wisely for your child.
Absolutely.
I don't believe anybody wants their child, to be injured or die or anything. But it's happened. It's happened. So.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. And it's so true to your point about informed consent, because if it is your child, and as a mother, as a parent, parental rights should supersede any doctors or nurses' coercion or insistence that you follow the protocol.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. So I want to thank you for being here. I could talk to you forever because we're so on the same page. And I am so appreciative of everything that you have done and that you continue to do. And I want to highlight the Autism Health Summit that's happening in San Diego, April 11 to 13 at the Town and Country Resort. You can go to ahsconference.com at the autism.com website as well. I'll make
Autism
sure.
Health. So autismhealth.com. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I thank you so much for.
I wish I had autism.com. that would be a small fortune, but autismhealth.com. Yeah. And then so if anybody needs a scholarship, they can apply for a scholarship. We are getting vendor approval for anyone who's in the state of California. Through the regional center, can go through the regional center and have them go through San Diego Regional Center to get their approval. And so they're all interconnected, or they can just go directly to ahsconference.com and register. And they can use promo code AHS50 to get $50 off. Right?
I love that. Yes.
There's only a short time. There's only 2.5 weeks to go. So if you're going to register, I would register fast. There's also a room block link on the conference page. They can get a discounted room rate and sign up through the room block link.
Anybody who is even the least bit curious, attend. If this is something that's close to your heart, attend. Go and learn, go and mingle. If you've been wondering, if you feel alone, or if you're part of the health freedom movement, if your child has autism or is on the spectrum in any way, join us. Just join us. It's going to be so amazing. Del Bigtree, Dr. Peter McCullough, Brian Hooker, Dr. Philip Yu, Dr. Sabine Hazan, and others. So you will go, when you go to the website, ahsconference.com or autismhealth.com, you will find all of that information. So thank you so much, Tracy, for being here. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
As I am you, likewise. So thank you for all that you do. And, always remember we're on a beautiful and blessed journey. If you find a way to count your blessings, you'll see them. They just They just might not look the way we want them to at a certain point in time.
I agree. Thank you for that. And so, everyone, I will make sure that you have all of the information in the show notes. And until we meet next time, know that you are loved beyond description, powerful beyond measure, and a force for good in the world. So go forth and spread the love. Bye for now.
Yeah. Bye.